guys, and welcome to episode 1 of Twisted Bard Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Tyler, and with me today is Rob. Rob, how you doing?
I'm very well, very good, thank you very much, yes, very good.
Yeah, so because it's a new podcast and you guys have literally no idea who we are, we'll be doing like intro questions basically as get to know us for the first few episodes, or maybe forever if this catches on. But Rob, what was the first console that you ever owned?
First console I ever owned, that was the Sega Master System 2 was the first one that I ever owned. So that was probably in the early 90s, 91. The first game I had on that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Nice.
Which I never completed. Weirdly.
What were like the big games on that console you owned?
I remember on that console, what they used to do is they had a game built into it. So basically, like if you turned it on and you didn't already have a cartridge in, it would boot up, I believe, Alex Kidd, which was like a platforming game pre-Sonic. It was like the mascot for Sega pre-Sonic, and that was pretty cool. But the only bad thing was that due to the fact that obviously it was quite old, like quite a lot of times you'd go to put the cartridge in, but every time that you turn it on, like it would just boot Alex Kidd all the time because none of the cartridges work. So yeah, I played a lot of that, and I never got past the third level due to the fact that 8-bit gaming was really, really bloody hard.
That's pretty funny, actually. It's just like if you blow on the cartridge and it didn't work, you still ended up playing a game that you didn't actually want to play when you started.
Exactly.
You're like, well, I give up. I'll just play this game.
Yeah, sold. And I used to have to do this weird thing, like at the end of each level, you'd have to play a game of rock, paper, scissors. And if you didn't get it right, you died and sort of went back to the start of the game. So literally at the end of each one, you had like a 50-50 chance of getting through to the next bit. It was just...
That's awful.
I know. It was bloody awful at times, but still pretty cool in a weird way.
Yeah, they had their charm, that's for sure. But anyways, also joining us is Alistair. Alistair, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
And likewise, what was your first console that you owned?
It would have to be the Nintendo 64.
Ooh, nice.
An absolute classic to start off with.
Yeah, for real. An icon.
Exactly. I mean, it's not a bad console to get yourself right into gaming, and one me and my brother shared, fought over, and generally hated each other with.
What was like one of your favorite games on that console?
GoldenEye. Has to be.
Ooh. Good choice. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I would have also accepted Super Smash Bros. As the correct answer, but it's okay. I'll take GoldenEye.
I didn't actually pick up Super Smash Bros. Till the GameCube. So I never experienced the N64 version.
Yeah, I think I experienced it on someone else's N64 because I never owned an N64, and then I owned it.
You poor child.
On GameCube and the Wii. Yeah, it wasn't that poor. I mean, I owned an Xbox instead of the N64, so it was okay.
Am I also right in thinking the N64 was the first console that had a Mario Party, which I remember playing on the N64. Know. Yeah, I remember.
I think you're right on that for sure.
I might be right. I'm not sure, but yeah, I remember playing the Mario Party.
There's been a lot of them, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. It was a Mario Party. Jesus. Yeah, I remember that being an awesome one on there.
Yeah, that was a huge party game. You needed enough people to play that. That's like the icon of couch co-op, though, for real.
It's still going.
Nothing will ever beat that game.
Well, it's still going. That just says how good it is. The fact that
true, and people still play it too.
Yeah, did you have any of the rare games like a Banjo or anything?
I had Banjo-Kazooie. What was it? I think FIFA 98 or World Cup 98. What?
Nice.
That was absolute standard. Could play old school mode. So you had the leather football, black and white screen, very retro. Oh, yeah. Obviously, Super Mario 64, the classics.
Yeah. Yeah, my first console was the Nintendo 60 or the Super Nintendo, sorry. That basically got passed down from my dad to me.
The SNES.
Yes, the SNES as we say over here.
That's pretty snazzy.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
Weeks, absolutely weeks.
But yeah, that was my first console that I sort of owned. I played a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on that one.
Nice.
Like the side-scrolling one, which was a lot of
Turtles
fun.
in Time, I think it was called, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because you kept going through portals at the end, and then you started like in space. You ended up like on a pirate ship, and then that was a good game.
That was a very good game. Yeah, I remember that one.
Did you ever get to play the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Just to pick a random game from the air. No reason to ask this question.
Yeah, no reason to bring that up. There
No
definitely
plug
is
whatsoever.
not a YouTube video on our YouTube page right now. Go there. There's not one there, so don't go there. But if you do go to our YouTube page, you may see one there for that game. But I played a lot of that game. I played a lot of like Super Mario Bros. Obviously, and
Super Mario World, I think, was on that, wasn't it? Super Mario World was brilliant. I enjoyed that one.
Yes. And what was the other game I was just gonna say? Was it Diddy Kong?
A Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
yeah.
But the second one only had Diddy Kong, I believe, because you're saving a Donkey Kong on that one. So yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, but that was a really good console. All three that we recommend are really great, great starters for sure. And obviously,
actually,
went a lot from there.
I might have to backtrack on that. I believe a Donkey Kong Country 2 might have been on the N64. I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, I think it was the original Donkey Kong Country. Was on the
SNES. Was one of the last games that come out for the SNES.
Yeah. I think you're right there.
Also got fond memories on the SNES of playing Mortal Kombat, although I used to play it on the Genesis more, just because it had blood on it. So awesome.
yeah, because the Super Nintendo version was dumbed down a little bit. It wasn't really Mortal Kombat.
No, it wasn't.
It was like a kid-friendly version of Mortal Kombat, which is not really a thing. If we all can agree on that,
it can't be played like that.
So Super Nintendo version is not the real version.
And how could I forget the N64 Zelda?
Oh, Jesus.
I completely
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Brilliant games.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time was still one of my all-time favorite games.
Yes. But anyways, enough about us and our history. Let's talk about some big things that happened in the news this week. The first thing I wanted to bring up is Nintendo held a board meeting, I guess you could call it. And in the board meeting, they talked about how they basically want to have more than one Nintendo in each house. This isn't surprising considering they only sold like 10 million Wii U's, which is a very, very, very low number for Nintendo. And the Nintendo Switch has already sold 3 million. I think they're looking to do 10 million just by the end of this year. So those are big numbers to hit. And a good way to hit those is if they convince people to get a Nintendo Switch in each household, or multiples in each household. I think this is not a crazy idea because a lot of people have multiple 3DSs in their house. Like I know families that have 2 or 3 3DSs just in their family alone. So do you guys think this is a plausible thing for the Nintendo Switch to have like 2 in each home of people that own them?
Yeah, it's not like a crazy idea because if you said someone's got like 2, like Xbox wanted 2 or 3 consoles in the house, you think, well, that's a bit excessive. I mean, you can just play on one. But because the Switch is meant to be console/portable, like you said, many people have multiple 3DSs and Game Boys going back in their houses. So as a portable system, it's not a stupid idea to say, well, I mean, wherever you go, take your console with you. You don't have to fight. So it's actually quite a clever idea from Nintendo.
But I mean, for me, I just don't see why you don't buy more gamepads. With it being so portable and great, why would you need 2? The reason why I'd need 2, PS4s, for example, is if I wanted one sort of in my bedroom and one in my front room, so I could go and play on the one in my bedroom. But if, obviously, with it being a portable, that's the point of the Switch, that I take my Switch upstairs. If I wanted to play a 2-player, 3-player, or all that sort of stuff, then I can just get more gamepads, not more Switches.
But if you think about it as if someone like taking it away, if someone in your house, you've only got one, and someone takes it on a trip, so they play it on the plane, then they've completely removed it from the house, and so they can take their own console and maybe leave like the family's console or your console, whoever has it set up in the house whilst they take their own portable.
Put it this way, like if I'm buying a Switch, like that Switch is staying with me. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I think what we're kind of discussing here is the difference between someone who plans on basically leaving it in their dock the whole time, or using it in their own bed and it basically just staying in the same room the whole time, or somebody who is taking it out and using it on the bus, using it at school, using it on a plane. Like I just picture kids like a family of like, let's say 3 kids, like having one Switch is not going to be enough because one kid's going to want to bring that to school and the other 2 are going to be like, well, what am I going to do? Like you get to use it at school and I get nothing. Like how does that work?
I focus on the education. That's what I'd say. Jesus.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I don't know if you've ever met children before. They don't reason well. But I could just picture like kids in a household having more than one and using it as like a 3DS basically, to just play things on the go and not as much sitting at home and using it as a console, because already, I mean, it's already multiplayer. Obviously you can have more than one controller playing more than one game at once, so it's not necessarily that you need one if it's already going to be in the dock or you're going to be with each other. But if you have more than one person in a household and they are planning on taking it on the go, only one person obviously can take it on the go, so in that situation, you would need more than one. So I could see how it would work, but it's going to be interesting to see if they push their marketing that way, where they focus more on it being an on-the-go console than it is an in-the-dock console. It's kind of a weird mix because we've never had a console like this before, so we don't really know what's going to happen, I guess.
I mean, like I think the fact that a Nintendo board want to sell more Switches is not a newsworthy item, really. The fact of the matter is, yeah, of course they do, and like if they can do that by selling a Switch to their sort of customers more than once, then yeah, that is just money made, because people will buy it if they see that there is a tangible sort of a need for it.
Yeah, I would agree with you for sure. Yeah, like it just makes sense from their end to do it this way because there's no reason not to. Like they're gonna only make more money if they market it to like, hey, have more than one in your house. Yeah, yeah. And just another article I saw this week by Polygon is it's basically just, it is titled, quoting, the Nintendo Switch has become the system people love to love. And I think what Nintendo is talking about, having more than one in a household, is actually like a key component of this, where I mean people already like loved their 3DSs, like those, it never got talked about in numbers. Like if you talked about like, oh, how many consoles are out there, nobody talked about the 3DS. But now the Switch has put itself in that same market as the Xbox One and the PS4. So now if we're talking about people having multiples in their household, those numbers are going to show up in the console race. So if they are selling more than one in a household, like those numbers are only going to be higher and have more potential than, say, the Xbox One and the PS4 did, because a family's not going to see a reason to buy 2 Xbox Ones for 2 kids in a household, but they will see a reason to buy 2 Switches for 2 kids in a household. And if this console is one that people really do love and are really enjoying, and I think we're seeing that with Legend of Zelda and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then I think they will buy more than one in a household, and then they could seriously take a huge leap in this race. Even if they joined way late, I still think they have the chance to like sell a lot of units. I mean, if Nintendo can get the units out there, of course, because they're having issues with that already, but I think it has a huge potential to sell a lot of consoles right now.
Yeah, because one of its earlier limiting factors, if you want to call it that, was like the software and hardware issues that a lot of people initially came up with. But these have seemed to be just getting a lot more permanent fixes, and there's been a lot less of an issue with these problems. And now people are just actually being able to enjoy the console / handheld dynamic, which, from what I've been seeing, is kind of people are able to have the experience of a handheld, just like lie down somewhere because you can't be bothered to sit up in your living room, so you just lay in bed. But with the power, with the graphics, with the capabilities of a console in your hand. So I think that's why a lot of people are loving it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think it's in this article, it talks about how before we did have Mario Kart, excuse me, on like the 3DS, but it wasn't the full version of it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we had Mario Kart to go before, like it wasn't like a crazy new thing, but we never had it before or the full version of the game is also mobile. Like we've had mobile consoles before, but it's never been flagship games like the entire like open world Zelda game on it to go. Like that idea is just crazy. I feel like when they came out with it, everyone's like, there's no way we're going to get these games on the go. And then Zelda came out and got like all 9s and 10s for reviews. And it's like, yeah, and that game can be played on the go. You don't even need to sit on your couch and play it. You can play it on the bus. Like, it's just a crazy idea. And like, it really is a console that I feel like is easy to love. And it's Nintendo, which everyone already loved, but it's a console where there was very minor things wrong with it at the beginning, and Nintendo's like, all right, we'll fix it, and they did. And so like there hasn't been bad press on it, like hardly at all since it came out, from what I've seen at least. And from people that aren't in games media, I don't feel like they've seen any bad news at all. They've only been like, oh, you can't get a Nintendo Switch, which means everyone loves them, which is in this case actually true. Maybe not true with like the NES Classic Edition, but I think in this case it is true. So
yeah, I think from my point of view, something that I would love to see on the Switch, and something that I think has been rumored around and talked around. Obviously, you were talking there. It's so exciting to get like a Zelda game, and obviously take it out like a fully 3D Zelda game, and take it out on the go and all that stuff. What I want is I want to see a full console version of a Pokemon game, a 3D. A Switch version. That would be fantastic.
It would be interesting to see what that would look like, because like they classically have been handheld
always, yeah. But would they let that slide due to the fact that the Switch like is a handheld?
Yeah, but what's interesting is what would a 3D version of Pokemon look like? What would I don't want to call it like a AAA Pokemon, but I guess that's the best way I can put it. Like, what would a AAA Pokemon?
I'd quite like to see, the more traditional third-person sort of open world layout, as opposed to sort of like, the 3D area in a 2D, sort of like a sort of 3D presentation, but in a 2D space. But you could actually, head into full 3D where, you've got sort of a terrain. I mean, think Breath of the Wild, but Pokemon.
Yeah. I could definitely picture it, but I can't picture how the Pokemon would show up and how Pokemon battles would be. I'm sure someone out there.
I suppose it would just work in a very similar way to sort of quite a lot of a turn-based AAA games. You walk into the wild, you walk into tall grass, and then like a Pokemon would then jump out of you, but it would work quite seamlessly that your trainer would then jump back, and perhaps you'll show a menu of choosing your Pokemon, and then obviously it all quite seamlessly flows, but still works in that sort of a turn-based Pokemon away. I think that would really work, and that would shift quite a lot of consoles. That would sell like crap.
I mean, Pokemon sells in general. I've seen that for sure, so it wouldn't be surprising at all. But I mean, the Nintendo Switch so far has just been incredible. Like everything that's come out, all the reviews, everyone seems to love it. The Joy-Cons seem to be working. It will be interesting to see stuff that we'll talk about later as well, but it'll be interesting to see what they show at E3, because I think when they announced the console, they showed a lot of things that these controllers can do, but so far we don't have games that basically demonstrate that. We just have Mario Kart and Zelda. I mean, for the most part, there's other games out there, but for the most part we just have those. So it'll be interesting to see when games like ARMS comes out, and Splatoon, and see how they implement all the things that they jammed into those controllers, all like $80 worth that they jammed into each Joy-Con, which is crazy to me. So I'm excited to see where they go from there, and I think they can only go up. But I think we'll find out more as we hear more. But so far, I think this console is really one that people love to love. And speaking of things that a lot of people have loved, last week, I believe it was last week, we had a bunch of games that were inducted into the Video Game Hall of Fame. I'll list them all for you here so you can just get an idea. The original Donkey Kong was announced, the one that was released in 1981, obviously an icon, the one that came in the arcade cabinets. The other one was Halo Combat Evolved, which is the icon of the Xbox, I feel like. And Pokemon Red and Green. Sorry, Blue, you didn't make the cut. I don't know what you did wrong, but I guess nobody wants you in the Hall of Fame, so you didn't make it. And Street Fighter 2 is the last one, which is another icon, I feel like, for the Nintendo and for the Street Fighter franchise in general. But do you guys have any anything that sticks out of those list of 4 games there?
I'm quite happy that Halo got into the Hall of Fame because it's such an iconic game. It didn't really seem like it at the time. Obviously, it was a great game and gathered such a huge following. But looking back on it, it did just sort of kickstart, well, obviously the Halo franchise, and was a staple for the Xbox. I mean, yeah, I can't really imagine the past 10 years without Halo.
I think the thing that you've got to look at with all these individual games, and obviously I'm not for like any part saying that these aren't a great games, because they are. I think they all sort of pretty much still stand the test of time, and that's the reason why they have went in there. But well, for me, they're sort of key landmarks of like the progress of sort of different parts, like of the video, like the video game. Sort of a world and everything. I mean, if you look at Halo really being the launch of Microsoft coming into the gaming space and bringing us into where we are sort of now, obviously, as much as you can sort of put your hands together and say Sony's been part of that as well. Obviously, they've worked in tandem and obviously needed sort of each other to in order to bring the best out of each other to get to where we are now. When you look at Street Fighter 2, a sequel to a video game that no one really knew and or cared about, they brought sort of a life to a two-person fighters, you know, that was really good for arcades at the time that were sort of struggling, and really sort of gave birth and really was the start of that sort of esports area when you know, quite a lot of people heading down to the arcades because there's like a Street Fighter 2 tournament or not, obviously bringing people into rooms and having these sorts of tournaments on. That's what Street Fighter 2 did. Like you look at like a Donkey Kong, the impact of that in arcades, you know, people heading in trying to get high scores, trying to get the highest scores on there. Then you hear about all the masters that can still play a Donkey Kong and hit those really stupid high scores that you have to sit and play it for 20 hours solid. I think this Hall of Fame choices, although you can look at them and say, oh, Halo, yeah, that was, there were better games on the Xbox, probably, or not, or this, that, and the other, but for what it represents and what they've done for gaming, I think pretty much every one of those games should be on that list.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with all of these games. Like, Halo, you could argue, is literally like, without Halo, who knows how the Xbox would have launched? Like, if they didn't have Halo, I don't know if Xbox would still be alive. Like, nothing else stood out at the beginning of that launch. Like, it could have just died then and there, except Halo was, for what it had at the time, that game was incredible. Like, the graphics in that game were beyond anything at the time that was coming out. I mean, I think the GameCube was right around the corner at the time, so they were seeing some really sweet stuff out of that as well. But, I mean, Halo, like, took the first-person shooter genre, which was already great with games like we talked about at the beginning, GoldenEye. I mean, it just took that genre to another level. So I think you hit it on the head, but like you could argue like Halo took the first-person shooter genre to another level. Street Fighter 2 like really birthed the fighter genre, which has made like who knows how many games at this point, but it turned that genre into like a whole nother level. And then, I mean, Pokemon is like essentially the icon for mobile gaming. So like obviously we've got 1 billion games on mobile now, so it's like all of these games were icons for their platform, but also icons for like their genre in general.
So what are the plausible reasons why Pokemon Blue is not on this list? I'm really trying to think of one. I know you sort of said it before, but really, why put in the other two? Is it they only had certain amount of room? And in which case, I'd argue you'd put in Pokemon. Yeah, you'd put in a Red and Blue, although they are sort of the same game. They were the ones who sort of birthed it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any reasons why. Like, did people like blue less? Did blue maybe sell less? But I feel like green would have sold way less because I feel like red and blue sold right out the gate. Green came later.
What was green? What was the different? Was green like the a definitive version? Because I obviously know the yellow version was like the Pikachu kind of sort of born for people who were sort of fans of the anime series and stuff. But when it come to the green, what was the green version? Does anyone know?
I actually have no idea.
We probably should have researched that, eh?
What are we, professionals?
Yeah, for real.
It's only the first episode, you know.
Yeah, we can't get that into it. But I mean, I think red and blue released at the same time, and green came later, which is similar to like what's the other one? The one that came after this was red and gold, and then there was like a platinum or diamond.
Yeah, I think after like the Generation 2 was silver and gold, and after that I think it was platinum and something else. Yeah, but I have to admit the first, now that I'm thinking about it, and if I'm saying, and I could be wrong about this, so like forgive me if I am, but I believe the green one was the one they brought out like quite some time after, which was like the definitive version where you pretty much. Oh yeah, go for it.
Pokemon Red and Green. This isn't me looking up. This is just definitely knowledge. Yeah. They were the original first releases, and Green was then replaced with Pokemon Blue.
Oh, I see. Now
so Red and Green were like the first releases in Japan, and then it was later worldwide released with Red and Blue.
When it was Pocket Monsters, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously everyone was just like, nah, I don't. No one wants Bulbasaur. Bring on Squirtle. Come on.
It's just weird to me that like why did blue not make it? I guess it doesn't matter.
I suppose if green and blue are the same game and green was the original version, yeah, that makes sense now. Makes perfect sense. There we go. We've worked that out.
Thank God we have the knowledge.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness Google is literally in my brain. Good thing. But yeah, I mean, those are all really great games. Like they've added to like a huge list of iconic games like Doom, Legend of Zelda, Pac-Man, Pong, The Sims are all other games that are already in the Hall of Fame. Sonic the Hedgehog, I think Space Invaders as well is in there. It's just like a great list of games, and like even if you weren't a huge fan of them, you can understand why they were in there. Like I don't think anyone's gonna argue that any of these games didn't belong in there, except maybe Green, which we just argued and proved. But they're all huge games, obviously.
What we did was just made ourselves look like idiots. We're just like, what is this Green? Everyone's like, guys, it's the original. Guys, come on.
Yeah, I mean, we could edit, but then you wouldn't get the full effect. So for that, we won't edit it out. Don't worry, guys. Just for you, just for the listeners. Don't worry. But yeah, these are all a list of really great games. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that they shouldn't be on there. So, but speaking of great games that are in the Hall of Fame, where you want to talk about now great games that we are hoping to see soon. Sony announced their official schedule for their press conferences at E3 this year. So we wanted to talk about things that we personally are looking forward to at E3 this upcoming year. We all picked, I think, 3 things each that we're looking forward to. So, Alistar, if you want to talk about the 3 that you're looking forward to most, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, first one, Doom VR. I love the new release of the re-release, new release, however you want to put it, of the Doom game. I think a couple of years ago, maybe now. It was one of the first games that I've actually just immediately downloaded. I just sat there watching the progress bar go up, just going, I need to play this now. And then I think I completed it in about 2 sittings because I just didn't want to leave. I love that game, and hearing that it's got a VR version, it should possibly being released, could make it worth.
Have you played on the VR game yet?
I have not, and it's almost making me want to buy a VR just for Doom.
It's one of those things. It's whether or not the motion sickness of Doom would get over you.
That's one of the things that apparently they've been working on quite a lot, is creating a new system for movement, because in a VR game, in a shooter type thing, it's normally just a click, teleport, turn around, shoot, so it's often quite static. Apparently what they've been working on is like when you're choosing your teleport, like your location to teleport to, like time slows down, so you have a bit more of a thinking time. You place yourself and you'll be darted across, so there'll be motion, so it almost feels like you're rushing across a map, and it makes it feel a bit more like a move shoot instead of just a move static turn around shoot.
Yeah, they have games that do that right now, and they seem to be okay. They do exactly that, where they like essentially teleport you, except not instantly. It's like really fast movement, but enough time where you don't feel sick and you can still like shoot or do whatever in the way on your way there. So I think they obviously will figure it out.
Yeah, they've got the right idea so far, I think.
Rob, have you played any VR games?
You know what? The only VR experience I've had is when we went to Rezzed in London, and I sort of tried like a VR experience on a HTC, but I have to admit, it wasn't like a fully fledged game. It was more like floating bubbles and things. So it wasn't really like a true VR experience. So I'm yet to really have the opportunity to sort of have one. I was really tempted to buy a VR when they launched, but I have to admit, just sort of waiting and seeing where it's all going first before I sort of put my money down, really.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, I think Doom VR could be a huge hit if it works, and I think that could also bring a lot of people to VR, which I think is like the most important thing right now. Is they just need really good games in VR so that people have reason to go and buy them, because we really need more headsets to be out there for this to take off, for them to make great games. So I hope Doom VR is really great. I think they'll be able to pull it off. It's just going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of changing things that already exist in VR now.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I think they've kind of got the ideas to make it more of a complete experience, and they're kind of looking at the flaws of other games and trying to create that perfect Doom experience, which would be terrifying but exhilarating at the same time. I think my next one that I was excited about, Death Stranding. That was
interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those where still after research, I actually tried to do research on this. I still have no idea what it's about, what's going on in it. I mean, a naked Norman Reedus obviously captured my attention, and then under the heading of Kojima, I have high hopes for the game. It seems quite a dark, story-driven thing. I really don't have many words for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously sort of born out quite immediately from sort of what he's working on Silent Hills and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously, I know Norman Reedus was all in that, wasn't he? He was all involved with that before it all sort of fell apart. I mean, for me, I'm so confused by what it is and what experience will it be, that it's hard for me to talk about it until I know. If you know what I mean, it's just a series of really sort of abstract cutscenes that don't make any sense to me.
Oh yeah, I watched the release trailer and then like a teaser trailer, and I had to make sure that they were both of the same game, because neither seemed to have anything to do with the other and seemed to suggest a completely different game. So I have no idea what direction this is going to take.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's being advertised, because he's basically just showing very different parts of the game. Like the first one, obviously with him just standing there naked with the baby, and then the second one, which I believe is with like the soldiers underground that have like, and he has the weird arms or whatever coming out of his back, or his arms, or however they're coming out of him. It's just like they're not related at all, but at the same time, we know they're going to be related. So I think they're just giving us bits and pieces enough to stay entertained about it, but then not giving us any real substance, because the game is still, I think, a far ways off.
Yeah, because it's like, well, so since it's a Kojima project, but they're just like, this is going to be cool, look how cool it can be. We're not going to tell you anything about it. Just trust us, we have Kojima working on this. Like, it's going to be amazing. And everyone's like, yeah, I believe them.
I think you're right. And they're just literally just like, hey guys, you know what we should do? We should just make a really sick trailer for this game. And then he's like, Kojima, what's in this game? And he's like, I literally don't know. He's like, use this. Use this. Use this. I just made this the other day. I have no idea what it has to do with my game, but doesn't it look sick? And they're like, yeah, we got to run this right now. We need people to see this. It's like it could be nothing related to the game, but it's like, yep, I'm interested now.
And it works. It's like I saw it and I was like, I really want to get this game and just to find out what it is and what the storyline is, and if anything in the trailer is actually true, other than, yeah, we have Norman Reedus and it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it should be cool. But yeah, obviously it's still a little ways off, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think my final one I'm looking forward to, a lot has been talked about it, Destiny 2. I was a big fan of the first one, and I'm excited to see where they take the second one and kind of what they do with it. Because they half seem to suggest like, oh yeah, we're going to run it a little bit on from the first game, but at the same time, it's going to be different. They just seem to suggest it's going to be Destiny, but better. We're going to make the single player just a lot more. Just trying to even find my words. Yeah, just a lot more exciting, a lot more immersive, and then instead of just you have to grind for everything, it's kind of a bit dull, and then the multiplayer brings it out. So I think they're going to be working a lot more on the single player, on the story, and then yeah, just try and mix things up a bit, make it a bit more of a variety in the game instead of just your basic, just walk around, here are your objectives, and shoot.
Yeah. If you listen to the previous podcast I was on, I talked about this a few times where I haven't played Destiny before ever, like not even tried it for more than a second. Like I literally have just never touched it. I've seen a lot about it. I've watched gameplay of it, but never played it before. And it got to the point where like after they released like was it Taken King, the DLC? It just got to the point where I was like, wow, there's a lot of content in this game. There's no way I could start now. People are like, oh, you can jump in. I was like, no, I just cannot jump in. So I'm excited for Destiny 2 because I told myself, like, if they make a second one for this, or when they make a second one for this, I'll jump in then and get fully committed on this game. Because I know it's a game I'll love. Like, I love chasing objectives, like, getting everything, getting the loot. Like, all those things are just things that I love in video games. So I think Destiny 2 will be a game that I love. So I have been following it, even though I know nothing about Destiny 1. I've been looking forward to Destiny 2.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Destiny 1, but the only thing I really hope that they fix in Destiny 2 is the people like me who have no friends who can still raid. So it's like, it was hard to find a fire team of 6 people to complete the raids and to kind of get everything organised, so like you could actually, because you had to be a coherent team, communicate, and figure things out to actually get through the raids to get decent loot and all that. So I really hope they find a way around that in Destiny 2, because it ruined it a little bit for me for Destiny, because I completed all the main campaign, I grinded sort of the basic things, and I only could reach a certain level where everyone was like shooting way ahead because they got all the better loot from the raids. So that's something I really hope that they fix in Destiny 2.
With the raids, I think it's hard to find. Is it like 6 people? I think it is.
Yeah, 6
people to do something for 2 hours. Like 6 different people that all have Destiny, that all can set aside 2 hours all at the same time, is a very difficult thing to get together. So it makes the raids very difficult, and you have to have everyone that's like played the game a lot, the same level as you. Like those are all very difficult things to put together. So it is very hard. So hopefully they figure out a way to do like a matchmaking system that works with that. But there's obviously a lot of things that can go wrong with that. I think GTA 5 has like heists right now, but it's hard to get people together that don't drop, and then you don't do the heist. So
yeah, because there are like the matchmaking systems like online. I think there's a website, a Team Finder website for Destiny for this purpose. But yeah, I often didn't get picked up because I was too low a light level, and it hurt my feelings.
Yeah, it's understandable, but yeah, Destiny 2 agreed. Definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing more about at E3. But moving on, Rob, what were the things that you are looking forward to seeing at E3?
Well, the games I'm looking forward to seeing at E3, first of all, I am really looking forward to seeing what Insomniac Games are doing with Spider-Man for the PS4. Personally, I have really fond memories of Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. One of the only video games that is based on a film that I think was just a brilliant time.
I was gonna say you're talking about the game, not the movie, right?
Yeah, I'm talking. I mean, to be fair, I quite enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, the movie was fantastic.
The movie was pretty damn cool, but like the game, like open world Spider-Man, where the webs actually went onto the buildings, like the web slinging felt really cool. There was different things to do around the city. It was quite a large city. I know a couple of years ago they released a game on the current platform, on the current generation of consoles, which was to go in tie with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the sort of franchise that failed. And from the trailers and that all looked really pretty good. But unfortunately, it I believe when it came out it was all very buggy and stuff. So there hasn't been a decent Spider-Man game since the I believe it was around 2003 2004 on the PS2 around that sort of time.
It has been a very long time.
And I mean, obviously we've had some really good comic book hero games since then. It's something that can be done. You think of the Arkham series. They're fantastic games. I would like to see a good game made for Superman. Unfortunately, he's had a bit of a bad time when it comes to video games, so it'll be really good to see if Rocksteady are perhaps working on something along those lines, such as I believe rumours have been going around about that. But yeah, the Spider-Man PS4, I am very excited to see that, like especially since it's in the hands of somebody that actually has a bit of trust, and it's not based on any kind of a movie tie, and it is its own thing.
Yeah, agreed. And it's definitely in the hands of a company that has really shown that they can produce a lot of great games lately. So I'm pretty excited to see what they do with it. It looks really good. Like everything they've shown of it so far looks just fantastic. And I feel like this is going to be a game where when you put it on the PS4 Pro, it's going to be like, yes, this is what it's for. So I hope that's the case. And I hope this game is really awesome. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with it, because I don't feel like they haven't really showed too much of their hand yet, which I think is good. So I think at E3 we'll get like a real in-depth look at what the game looks like, which is only going to boost up Sony's press conference even more. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with it for sure.
And for the sake of transparency, my second game that I was quite excited about was State of Decay 2. Having played the first one, really, I have to admit, I first bought the first game on the Xbox 360, and I tried to play it for about an hour, and I didn't really get into it, and I didn't pick it up again for about a year, and I picked it up again on the Xbox One, and I thought, no, I'm going to give it its chance. And you know what? I sunk so many hours into State of Decay, the first game. It had a very good sort of fresh idea, like on the zombie world, which is really sort of saturated like at the moment. Sort of the way that you had sort of your group that made you feel like there was obviously something to play with there. The fact that when someone had died, they permanently were sort of dead. So like it added things in terms of a risk and who you wanted to send out, and like trying to work on people's skills, and obviously the problems that you had in working well inside a group. It had some really good, strong concepts there, which I'm hoping they'll be able to strengthen on for like the sequel. Like and also alongside that, one I'm really excited for is obviously seeing the multiplayer sort of aspect of it, because obviously with the first one just being like a single player experience, which was a really good single player experience, it obviously did feel like it was missing that sort of a cooperative, a multiplayer side, like especially on something that is based upon having a group of people.
Yeah, I mean, with all the games we have out now that are like huge multiplayer games, I mean, like Destiny we just talked about, but there's a lot of games that are very like cooperative and multiplayer out right now. Like there's a lot of them on PC, especially in like the survival genre. So I hope they can bring like an element of what we see right now with games like 7 Days to Die and Rust on the PC platform, but put one of them on the console and make it really thrive will be really good to see, and I hope they can pull it off. I think they should be able to, with the first one being such a huge hit, that I feel like the second one should really do a good job of it. And I think they have like an extra. I guess they have something new or something better in the zombie genre than most of the other games are. So I hope they really hit home run with that game for sure.
Yeah, awesome. And I suppose the last game out on my list of 3 would also be for like another Xbox exclusive. Actually, is State of Decay 2, is that going to be an Xbox exclusive? Because I know the first one was.
I believe. Yes, yeah. It's going to be an Xbox Play Anywhere title, so it's going to be Xbox One and Windows 10. So, but yes, a console exclusive, I guess, a Microsoft exclusive.
And weirdly enough, I didn't think that I would be doing this, but I went for one a Sony exclusive, one Xbox / Windows exclusive, and one more Windows / Xbox exclusive is a Sea of Thieves, the new game being new
it's
game.
It's gonna be so good, guys.
Yeah, the new game being worked on by Rare. Obviously, Rare have been out of form for a long time. I think they've been obviously put under the cosh by Microsoft, being churning out, the years and years of bloody the Kinect games and all the stuff that have been heading in. Obviously, there was a bit of a mixed reception to the older sort of team heading out and going to make a Yooka-Laylee. Everyone had high hopes about what that was going to happen, and from what I've heard, I haven't played it yet, but from what I've heard, the reviews / critics are sort of quite sort of on the fence about that game. But when it comes to Sea of Thieves, from everything I've seen, which one thing that I did quite like when they did their E3, I think it was first announced or first sort of when I first saw it was at E3, and one thing that I really liked about their presentation is that although you're used to seeing a Ubisoft presentation where they obviously showed off the Division, and they have some people playing it and it's all scripted and all horrible and all kind of people talk in certain ways that no one talks in real actual playing video games. They're saying contact a northeast and all these things that no one actually bloody says. But what I really enjoyed about what I believe that Microsoft put out at their E3 presentation was they actually just gave the game to a bunch of YouTubers and just told them like to have fun. They didn't tell them like how to play it, and that is how they first presented it. And those people looked like they had a great time, and I want to have a great time, so I want to play it.
I mean, I was at E3 last year, so I sat and probably for like 30 or 40 minutes I sat and watched people play this game. The line was probably like, I'm not even kidding you, like 6 or 7 hours to play this game. So I was like, no, I don't have time to sit here for 6 hours. But I watched a lot of people play this game, and it literally just looks like a ton of fun, which is exactly what you saw like in the E3 presentation of people playing this game, just like continuous laughter, because like what's better than like manning a ship full of pirates with your friends and just like shooting other ships and looting? And it's like literally the game is just designed to be super, super fun, I feel like, in my opinion, from what we've seen so far. And it's a game that I just cannot wait to play, because it just looks like a game you cannot take serious and just play and have fun with a group of your friends and just like love it. And that's what it looks like so far. And I literally can't, I'm looking forward to it so much.
Yeah, and then I think on top of that as well, just one more. Obviously, I've sort of said my 3 games, but one that I hope to see at E3 is I hope to see a little bit more of Shenmue 3, which is something that obviously was announced, I believe it was 2 E3s ago. Something that sort of it just come after the Final Fantasy VII remake sort of announcement, which obviously blew quite a lot of people's mind, and then obviously there's some sort of really passionate fan base that are really sort of into Shenmue, and no one saw it coming. And with that being out, and I played on the original games like on the Dreamcast when they came out, and obviously to wait to Shenmue 2 left on what some people would call quite a cliffhanger, and that game was so story driven that to wait 16 to 17 years for a game to come out is a long time. I've waited sort of literally half of my entire life for this game, so I have to admit, I'm not holding out hopes that it's going to be the fantastic game that I think it will be. I still think it'll be a good game. It will tie up the loose ends that have sort of been sitting in my head for the past half year. But at the same time, I'm not holding out high hopes that it's going to be able to be, a revolutionary game that's going to change the open world scene forever. It's just going to be something that I hope sort of Yusan can sort of tie off, as it's something that I know has been sort of quite hard work for him to get off the ground for 16 years. So I'm just pleased to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the game would literally have to be legendary to please everyone because they've had to wait so long for this game. But I do hope that they show it and it's good. I don't think it needs to be legendary, and I think that's what people are going to expect from it. But I hope it's as fun as the first one was, and then that would be enough. So, but games and thing, I guess I'm looking forward to most. To start off, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Super Mario Odyssey. Obviously, we haven't seen much of it. We've seen just kind of like a teaser of it. But in terms of Nintendo Switch games, Super Mario Odyssey is the thing that's going to really get me in the store and purchasing a Switch. What we didn't talk about earlier is the fact that none of us actually have one, but now we all know. But no, the Super Mario Odyssey, I said it when they announced it, that's the game that's going to get me in the store and purchasing one, is going to be Super Mario Odyssey. So that game, I really hope hits a good chord, and really is a good hit, because I want to go into a store to buy it, if that makes sense. Like, I want it to be good, and I want it to be something that's going to make me go and get a Nintendo Switch. And I think it will, because I just have really fond memories of all Mario titles, basically. So it would be hard for it not to be something to get me into a store and buying one. So I just want to see what else they have to show.
How do you feel about the sort of core concept of obviously a Mario heading out into something that is something looking like the real world, which might I add is something that Sonic 2006 tried to do.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, you can't bring up that game. It's so mean. It's been bullied too many times.
Know,
okay.
Right?
But no, I think that's why I said I want to see more of it, because it's interesting to me that they would want to bring it into a real world context, because it feels like it's in a very fantasy context to me, and it's kind of had a world of its own. But if they can make it out to be like the world of Mario has kind of developed over time, and this is where that world has gone, and you can see kind of how it got there, then it's something I can get behind. But if it's like, look, this is Mario in Times Square, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to do a really good job of selling that, because it's going to be hard. So I hope it does well, and I think it'll be interesting because it is in that context. But I have faith in them, because I've always had faith in Nintendo, so I hope that they do well with that.
Blind faith.
Yes, very much true. But no, I'm saying yes. They've fulfilled a lot of my time through their games in the past, so I don't have any reason to doubt them now. So I won't doubt them.
I cannot think of a misstep sort of Nintendo have made with the Mario franchise. I can think of a few others they have, but no.
Wii U.
Yeah, and Star Fox.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Star Fox game for the Wii U. Is that what you're talking about? Because that game didn't go so well either.
Yeah, Star Fox didn't go well. I think the Metroid franchise, they've sort of not be able to use it very well, even though that should be like a great franchise for them. They're just,
true.
Yeah, there are a lot of IPs they've got that I don't think they know how to handle them. But there are obviously like the flagship IPs which that they would not be able to be made by like anybody else.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with you there. Other game that I am looking forward to tentatively is what I'm hoping Ubisoft is going to show something for the Assassin's Creed franchise. They took a gap, which was good because it felt like they were pumping games out of nowhere in that franchise for a while. They're like, where are these all coming from? And people will be like, have you tried the new Assassin's Creed? I'm like, which one? Like, I feel like they just released 2 of them yesterday. So that was good because I I played through one. One was interesting, I think, because it was new. It was something completely new, so it was good, but it was very repetitive, which is what I think they did a very good job of in 2 to kind of get rid of that and make it a really interesting franchise and one that was really fun to play. And I think even Assassin's Creed 3 did a really good thing being in like the Civil War times and getting a really good story out there with Connor and all of that.
Although Connor was a bit bland and the intro was
far
too long.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Although one thing about, sorry, just to interrupt you there, but the one thing is people don't talk about it with that third one, but the actual fighting engine they put in there was so much fun. I don't care what anyone says. Running around with a bloody tomahawk, smashing people up, was just so much joy.
And I mean, the gun mechanics were very similar to the past ones, where like they were a lot of muzzleloaders, so it was like a one shot, pretty much and done thing.
Yeah.
With most of the guns, but that was still a fun mechanic, and you had the what's the word I'm looking for here? Bayonet, is that the word I'm looking for? On the guns, where you could just jump off of a roof and stab somebody with a bayonet. Like, there's nothing more satisfying than that.
Well, this is it. Well, for me, I have to admit, I am with you. I've played all of the series from the start. I have to admit, hands up, I have not played on Syndicate. I've kind of... I have to admit, I used to be one of those people who used to go and buy it, like on day one. I remember watching like the trailer for Assassin's Creed Revelations, being really excited. That was an awesome trailer that they put out for that. And I was there, and I was with them for all the series. Started to waver by the time that we got to Black Flag, even though Black Flag was a good game. I would argue it should have been its own sort of IP and broke away from the Assassin's Creed game and just been a standalone, a pirate sort of IP that they could have went forward on. But okay, fair enough. And then Unity, one thing that it did to me, it killed it, and I'll explain why as quick as I can. It one thing that I loved, always have enjoyed like about the games, is although they weren't hard, and that's something that people used to say was a bit of a problem, although they were never hard, I just used to love the joy of running round like a city, going up to 20 guards and just slaughtering the crap out of them, and just, doing well, but more sort of, like the satisfying finishing animations, the picking up an axe and throwing it like through a crowd, like at a guy, and then running up on a rooftop, and all of that was so much fun. I used to enjoy that so much. And then sort of Unity, in a way to try and make the game harder and more sort of challenging, they just took away all of the fun for me, and the one reason why I played the game.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because Unity and Syndicate both felt like games that were much harder than the previous games. Like, I remember like legit getting stuck in certain places where I was like, I know what I need to do and I physically cannot do it. Like, I do not know how to do it, and I never ran into that before. I think what made the Assassin's Creed franchise great was that the story like kind of pulled you along, with it being like its own story but also sort of based on history. And then the killing in that game was just amazing, and it felt so good, which is horrible to say inside the minds of us here at Twisted Bard. But the story and the kills just were the driving factor. So when Unity and Syndicate, they made it harder, and the stories kind of got watered down because they were releasing them so quickly. It just took everything away. Like, those games I didn't even get close to finishing. Like, I played them and I was like, okay, this has nothing left for me anymore. So then when they took a year off, it was like, yes, which I think was good, because we were already talking about like Call of Duty should take a year off because these games are not as good as they used to be. And then Assassin's Creed's like, all right, we'll do it. That was just like a good timing for them, I think, to do that. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with the Assassin's Creed franchise, and I'm hoping they bring back all the fun that the original ones were and the stories. So I'll be interested to see where they go, because I feel like they've bounced all over to the timeline. So I'm just looking forward to seeing where they go from there. But the last thing that I'm looking forward to at E3 is I'm interested to see what the Xbox Scorpio is doing with VR. This is the only game, the only non-game that I guess we're talking about here. But for me, this is like, what are they going to do with VR? I don't really have anything to say about this, and I feel like there's a lot more we can talk about, so I'll just cover it briefly, I guess. But I feel like there's a lot of things they could do. I know they were already looking at doing a partnership with Oculus, but what I'm really hoping happens is that they release their own headset or a new version of the Oculus that goes with the Scorpio, and I hope that it just blows the other headsets out of the water and is like perfect controls, camera, everything like that. But I want to see what they're going to do, and I'm hoping they talk about it at E3 this year because I think they need to. But obviously there's a lot that goes into this, so we don't want to dig too deep into it, especially with how long we're already going here. But I just want to see what they're gonna do with it and what is gonna happen and what games will be there for it. So, did you guys have any quick thoughts on that?
Well, I think personally for me, have they said that they're going to talk about, or is this just speculation from your part?
This is just speculation. I mean, what's interesting is I think they like pulled basically the Oculus off of their like Xbox website because they were partnered before, and then that just like the partnership didn't go away, but like them representing it on their website kind of went away. I could be wrong here, but I think that's what happened. But so I just feel like they have to talk about it, don't they? Like it's like it has to be a thing. The PlayStation VR is out, the other VRs are out. Like there has to be something with it.
Whether or not they're going to focus solely on the Scorpio and trying to sell that idea. I mean, well, for me, I think you're absolutely right. If you grab the VR and sort of package that with the Scorpio, not in the same way that they did with the Kinect, in the sense that they force people to like to have one, but obviously showcase that obviously one of the key selling points of picking up a Scorpio is obviously you're going to be able to do VR and all that sort of stuff. However, one thing I will raise about that, what does that mean about what Phil Spencer said about obviously the people who own the original Xbox One not being sort of left behind, and obviously like the Xbox all being a family? I mean, where does that put that really? I think that's the one thing to think about that makes me think they are not going to show anything to do with VR like at E3 because it will blur the message.
Yeah, I think you could be right, but what's interesting to me is that Phil Spencer has before said, like, he said, oh, there won't be any exclusives on the Scorpio, and then he sort of like retracted it. It was like, well, maybe there would be, and then he went on to say like, hey, you won't get left behind on the previous ones. But I think they will release VR for the Scorpio, and it will be like Scorpio only, and I don't know if it's gonna portray as leaving them behind or it's gonna portray as like, hey, the VR is on the Scorpio. So, but I agree with you. I think it would be a mixed signal for them to have VR on just the Scorpio. So, like I said, it'll just be interesting to see where they go. And we could talk about this for a whole episode probably because it'll be really interesting to see where they're gonna go. But I just want to know what they're gonna do, and if they don't say anything about it at E3, it'll be very interesting. So. I guess we will just have to wait and see what is going on with that. But with all that said, we covered a lot of stuff here, E3, Nintendo Switch, and the Hall of Fame. But thank you guys for joining me. This has been a really good episode.
Thank you very much for having us.
And I hope everyone now knows what Pokemon Green is, so you can't say you didn't learn anything in this episode, because you did. But please check out the rest of our content on twistedbar.com. You can also check out our YouTube channel. We'll be getting the Twitch up and rolling here pretty soon. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter. I think we have an Instagram. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure we have one, though.
Yes, we do.
So check out all of our content there. You can check it all out on twistedbar.com, so just go there for all the latest stuff. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.